Well, greetings. I want to talk with you about group formation and teams, and usually the first half of the discussion of teams and groups. In this particular text, it's chapter 9. And while I usually don't point out these learning goals, I really do want to point out the difference between a group and a team. And so I like this picture. A group is a set of people together. Now, you can see that they're in some kind of mutually shared situation, but they're really just a set of people there. And so I like to make a narrow definition of a group, that it's a set of people together in some way. And a team, looking at the second bullet, is a group that's interacting and interdependent, who come together to achieve particular objectives. And I think this definition requires a synergy. And that's a good thing to talk about too, where it's more than, if you get four people in this picture, it's more than 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 4. I'm not sure that's a team, but 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 5 or 6, if you will. If you're following that thought, that's a team. Some of the sports teams, I'm not sure, they're just not groups. There are formal groups, those are often departments or command groups. And then there's informal groups. Just in the same way as you have formal leadership in a workplace and you have informal leadership. People join groups for lots of reasons. Everyone wants me to use the 5-stage team formation module. This is Tuckman's 5 stages: forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. We usually talk about this in class. It is something I need to make clear that people misunderstand. And sometimes I fail to emphasize this. It's about the individuals working together. This team formation model is not about how the task progresses. It's first we get together and we talk about the task, and then we decide who's going to lead the task, and then we start working on the task. No. This is about how the people are behaving. Task is a sidelight. So this is a sociological model, not the queuing of work or task. And so the people get together and they form into a group. The people start talking to each other and start looking at roles that they might play. And again, I haven't even mentioned task, that they might play as they work on a project or a task. And then in norming, they're working on the rules that they're going to use as they work together. It's all about the people. If you were to write about this on an exam, you would not talk hardly at all about the assigned task. You'd only be talking about how the people are changing as they relate to one another. It's a people model, not a task model. And there's some more slides to help you with that. I often ask, if you have a new person come in, what happens? Well, it completely resets the model. You got to go back to forming. More on the rules and the roles. And again, I'm not going to come into that. I'm just picking out certain things that I want to talk about on this particular video. The size of group property 4, we have a set of group properties here. The size of the group really matters. Smaller groups are faster in completing decisions or tasks generally. Larger groups are consistently better at problem solving until you get a group past about 12. So 3, 2, 3, 4, 3 really being the smallest group, really good at certain things. Groups 10, 11, 12 are better at some other things. This term of social loafing is important. It means just not doing meeting your expectations. And so there are a number of approaches that a manager or leader would want to use to react to someone who is socially loafing. or to set up a situation where they're unlikely to social loaf. And one of those really has to do with the size. If you have a large group and not enough work, then it becomes rational for some people to lay back. It's not even some evil thing they do. There just isn't enough work, and they might decide to do very little. Other people may be inclined to do very little and need some motivation. Cohesiveness is important. It's a norm issue, and high cohesiveness, or hanging together, if you will, with high norms gives the highest productivity. And so we're really interested in the degree to which members of the group are attracted to each other as workers and motivated to stay in the group. That's group cohesiveness. Watch out for the size of the group. Encourage agreement within the group. Spend time together. And some other ideas here. One of our chapters that I consider in this unit typically is diversity. And I would, and the degree to which members of the group are different, are similar to one another. And we talk about surface and deep diversity. Diversity increases group conflict. And really, talking about deep diversity here, inexperienced people versus experienced people, for instance. Weirdly different personality aggregations. Diversity increases group conflict, but may increase group performance. So this is important. So why would I have a diverse group problem solving? To try to get better performance. Am I going to have more conflict? Absolutely. You want the least conflict? 4 people that are exactly alike. They're just going to go, I think we ought to do this, and everybody's going to go, yes sir, yes ma'am, yes ma'am. Well, there's no conflict there, but there's not a lot of thinking. Might as well get rid of everybody but one of them. And so you're going to have more conflict. So group decision making takes longer, and we're going to come back to this when we talk about decision making. So group decision takes longer, but I'll take you over to the side here, but usually there's increased acceptance of the solution derived. That's really important to a manager to realize. If I have a group make the decision, then I must want acceptance and maybe better thinking. I know it'll take longer, and it may increase conflict. 2 terms I think that are worth knowing is effective is getting the job done, completing a task, that's being effective. Efficient is completing the task with the least waste. So effective is I completed the report. It was efficient if I spent the least amount of time on that report. So I can be any combination of these 2 things. I could have completed the report effective, but I could have spent 4 weeks on it inefficient. I could have been effective, I've gotten the report finished, and I was efficient. I did it with 2 people and we finished it in 1 day. I could be ineffective. We never finished the report. Groupthink is not challenging the leader's thought. Sometimes you got to kick the leader out of the room. More on group decision making, and here's the desert survival. I would comment that we learn these 2 things. First 2, groups generally make better decisions when compared to individuals. They make novel or greenfield decisions where no one's the expert in the team. Some or one individual would make better decisions on this greenfield novel opportunity compared to the group. And then finally I said, what kind of decision was this? And it was that novel or unusual. And there are a number of group decision making techniques, and we'll come back to these. We'll come back to these group decision making. So thank you for your attention on Talk Working with Groups.